What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm back with another video on how to solve the apparently unsolvable crises in America. Our politicians, our supposed world leaders, government leaders, have been trying to figure these things out for over 100 years. And apparently none of them were capable to come up with the obvious logic that I was able to deduce in about 20 minutes worth of thinking. So today what we're talking about is how to solve the problem of homelessness in America. Depending on where you live, you will notice that this is an ever-growing problem. Austin, Texas is already just a absolute shithole. Like, it used to be such a beautiful city, and the homelessness and basically the liberal agenda has absolutely destroyed Austin, Texas. And unfortunately, it's slowly but surely creeping its way north into Dallas. And the area that I live in is sort of secluded from a lot of this. We live in a gated community, kind of like off the beaten path. But anytime we go into the, 5 minutes up the road to go to the gym, there's just like piles of homeless people gathered around outside Planet Fitness trying to stay warm underneath the awnings and shit. It's just terrible. The drug problem is a scourge in America, and homelessness is just rampant out of control, primarily because Bidenomics are a joke and they don't work and inflation's out of control. But regardless of who's in office, I actually have a solution that works 100% of the time without fail, which is this weird thing that our politicians don't seem to want to engage in, is like actual solutions to problems. So today I'm about to tell you how to solve the problem of homelessness in America. First and foremost, like in my immigration video, the first thing that you have to do is you have to make it illegal to be homeless. That's right. You have to make living on the street a crime. That's the only way you're going to be able to take control of the situation, is that you have to set the conditions by which people lose their rights. Because people's civil rights present a lot of the problems for people who don't really want to participate in society. This is the problem with all of the civil rights that we have, is that they're very easily abused by the scum of the earth who don't want to actually participate in a functional society. So in order to fucking solve this problem, we have to first remove their civil rights from them, because they've displayed that they're not worthy of them. So step number one is you have to make it a crime to be homeless. Now, we're going to put a moratorium on enforcement of this while we get some other infrastructure in place. So step one, it's a crime to be homeless. Now, this is going to be a low-level crime. This is going to be a felony, and it is going to be punishable by a prison sentence. But we're going to have some options so that we can give people a pathway towards success, which is all anybody, I think, really wants in life. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to massively expand the prison industrial complex. And I know some of you are like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I was sent to prison. I have an entire series of videos about this, where I was sent to a minimum security work camp where I worked up in the mountains in Washington State in the Olympic Mountain Range, felling timber all day for 55 cents an hour. This is what can happen to you when you commit other low-level crimes in America, is you can be sent to a work camp. So the first thing that we're going to need to do to protect against bad actors is that we're going to need to massively expand these work camps. Now, my solutions are always when I come up with solutions to problems, I don't like solutions that cost taxpayer dollars. I don't want my paycheck to be negatively affected because some other low-life piece of shit wants to live in a gutter with a fucking, a shopping cart as their mode of transportation. I should not have to pay for this person's failure in life. So what we're going to do is that we're going to incentivize big business to take on some of this burden. So when we build these prison camps, what we're going to do is we're going to have them paid for by the businesses that are going to employ these prisoners at literally cents per hour per day. And this could be any business. This could be McDonald's might want to train burger flippers. It could be a manufacturing plant that screen prints t-shirts. It could be a manufacturing plant that, say, builds air conditioners. And so there's a lot of machinists with pop riveting guns or bending metal scrap. Low-level jobs is what we're looking for here. And currently, because of the insanity in the world we live in, these low-level jobs get paid this really high minimum wage, which of course drives up product costs for all of us. So we've got all of these hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Americans who seem to think that they can live in gutters and collect welfare and not have to work for a living. And that absolutely has to stop. So step number 2, after you make homelessness illegal, is that you totally eradicate the welfare program. Gone. There is no welfare at all, period. You do not get one dime for the American government that you don't work for. Now, some people will be like, oh my God, you can't do this. There's going to be starving families. Kids aren't going to be able to eat. People aren't going to be able to survive. Just stay with me. I got a solution to all these problems. So, if you're living on the street and you refuse to get a job, then we are going to arrest you and put you into a prison work camp where you are not given a choice whether or not you work. So instead of paying somebody $15 an hour, $13 an hour to do some job, you're going to be paying these prisoners somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 cents per hour to do these jobs. So these prisoners are going to save corporations fucking metric tons of money because they're going to be getting nearly slave labor. In exchange for their 55 cents per hour, they're also going to get free room and board inside of the prison facility. This can also be paid for by the cost of food for a prisoner. They've got this shit down to like 35 cents a day because of economies of scale and all of these different fucking programs that provide foods to prisons. So all of the costs of operating these facilities can easily be absorbed by the companies who invest in the building of them because the labor they're getting is so incredibly cheap. So you're going to be housed in a prison facility where you will be forced to work for a period of time if you refuse to get up off of your ass and go get a job. Now, let's say, for example, when we pass the law making homelessness illegal, somebody says, hey, I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to go to jail. I want to actually be a productive member of society. Good. This is what we want you to say. This is what we want you to do. So on top of building lockdown prison facilities, we're also going to build community projects. So we're going to build housing, community housing, like the old Section 8 housing. We're going to build very cheap, very meager, basically prison cell type of housing arrangements for all of these people who are currently living on the street, but they want to better themselves. They want to better themselves. So we are going to build housing projects to hold these people, and they will be allowed to enter these lockdown facilities. They're going to have to come and go, prove that they have no drugs on them. But inside of these facilities, we're going to have like a little commune. Okay, so they're going to have all of the resources they need. They'll be free to come and go, use mass transit to go to the grocery store, bring home groceries. But everything is going to go through a checking system to make sure that no contraband is coming into the facility. And obviously, this is going to, just like any prison facility, there's going to be problems and we're going to have to iron those out. But the key here is that all of these people who are saying that they're living on the streets because they don't have jobs are now going to get jobs. They're going to get jobs, however, at much lesser pay because they're going to be getting free room and board in one of these housing facilities. So if you take Joe Blow and his wife Jane and they're living out of a fucking shopping cart because they've been down on their luck and they're struggling and no one wants to hire them because they're dirty and they're grimy, we're going to get you guys into a public housing unit. We're going to get you showered up, cleaned up. We're going to get you some government issued clothing. And then we're going to get you a job in one of a variety of different places. So for example, McDonald's or fast food restaurants could choose to build their locations in close proximity to these housing establishments, and they could recruit from the housing establishments people who are going to work at maybe half the cost of a regular employee, because these people are getting free room and board. So since they're not having to pay for their room and board, they're not having to pay for their cost of living, that's being subsidized for them in exchange for their work, they are free to save all of the money they make, which is less than they would be making working at McDonald's on their own. They will be able to save that money so that one day, if they continue to succeed in their jobs, then they can transition out of the government housing into a full paid job and an apartment or a house of their own, because they've been putting the excess money they've been making to the side and displaying that they have good money management skills. There will be classes and programs for these people. And in the same way that you could build prison camps with, say, screen printing shops or metal fabrication shops, you could build these housing establishments and literally connect them to the back of, let's say, a Walmart distribution center or some large-scale manufacturing plant. And we could house these people connected to the places that they would be working. So they would be guaranteed a roof over their heads in a safe environment that was guarded and secured. They would be getting 3 hots in a cot, so they get a meal over their, they get a roof over their head, they get 3 meals a day, they get clothes on their back, they get work skills, and they get a little bit of extra cash to start learning money management and putting something aside. If these people want to spend their entire lives living in these facilities and they decide to take the little extra money they have and buy a PlayStation to put in their facility, or they like to go out to dinner at night, if this is all they want in life, if they just want a meager job and a meager place to live and they're willing to stay here forever, fine. Again, everyone wins. No one's living on the street. Businesses are being able to create product at a much lesser cost. There's less crime and violence because all of these people who are generally responsible for the crime and violence are getting all of the help they need. They're living inside of contained facilities. Inside these facilities, we would have on-staff psychiatric and medical help, because one of the number one reasons for homelessness in this country is mental health disorders. We pretty much close down all of our state mental health facilities. We don't really lock people up for being crazy anymore. Instead, we just let them live on the streets and squalor. So some of these people might not be employable. There's definitely going to be cases where somebody is just so far gone that maybe not even a McDonald's or a screen printing plant wants to hire these people. But we still have a solution for them as well, because somebody's going to have to mow the lawn inside of this community complex. Somebody's going to have to trim the bushes. Somebody's going to have to wash the toilets, mop the floors, do minor maintenance work. These facilities will be run just like prisons. They'll be run by the people who are living there. And the hope is that people will use these facilities as a stepping off point to get to a life lived on their own. But if they don't, then at least they're not on the streets. So and these facilities could be as meager or as nice as the company that is supporting them wants it to be. So if you've got a multinational company who says, look, we're willing to build little 2 or 3 bedroom apartments and we'll help the struggling mom and her 2 kids, and she can come in and get a place to stay as long as she's willing to do a day's work in our fabrication plant or whatever their particular business is. This is a contract that she can enter into with these business establishments where the cost of goods and services go down because the cost they're having to pay to employees is less, because you're taking advantage of economies of scale and you're taking advantage of the fact that these facilities are all self-sufficient. So the number one goal is to take everybody from the streets where they are producing nothing of value for our society. Get them into a program where they can learn job skills and get the mental health care that they need. Start getting a work history together, whether it's at a McDonald's or a screen print, one of these jobs that I've talked about. Get some job skills together so that hopefully they can earn promotions and then transition out of the housing project into a life of their own. The sky is literally the limit. There's no reason that these people cannot turn their lives around and become fully productive citizens of society. I know this is possible because I was once homeless myself. I spent a year living in a tent in the woods by myself, and I have currently been unemployed for 2 years because I cashed out $500,000 in stock options when I left my prior company. So I know that anyone who wants to rise up can rise up, but some of us need a little help along the way. My dad was willing to give me a very meager job, making a very meager amount of money to get me off the street. I succeeded in that job, and then I got promotion after promotion after promotion until I became the number one salesman in the company, making more than 6 figures a year. Anyone can do this if given the proper chances. So again, the hope is that they will volunteer to go from the street to the housing project and get the help that they need and either work in the community or work for one of the businesses that have paid for and subsidized the project. The hope is furthermore that they will eventually exceed in their business and graduate out of the program and go on to be productive citizens. Now, not all of these people are going to succeed. Some of these people are going to continue the criminal ways. They're going to try to smuggle contraband into the system. They're going to refuse to work. They're going to cause problems. They're going to commit crimes. And the second one of these people commits a crime or gets caught smuggling into the facility that they are voluntarily being allowed to work in, then they will be arrested and charged for that crime and sent to one of the prison camps that is a lockdown facility where they will be forced to work for a living. So either way you slice it, you're not going to have people living off of the government tit, living on the streets. Whether they choose to voluntarily go into the community workforce and grow into productive citizens, that's pathway number one. Or whether they choose to say, fuck you, I'm not going to be part of the project. And then they get arrested and sent to a prison where they are forced to work for a living. That's option number two. Either way you slice it, these people are going to work for a living. If they absolutely reject all of these possible scenarios, then we can feel as a society that we have done every single thing that can possibly be done to help these people. If they go into the minimum security facilities and refuse to work and cause problems, then they will get heftier sentences and be locked into the maximum security facilities for potentially life, if that is what they choose. I think that honestly attached to this should be the possibility of having their sentence escalated to the death penalty, because again, we don't need to be wasting taxpayer dollars just holding people in cells who do not want to be productive members of society. If you do not want to be a productive member of society, then you are choosing to no longer be a part of this society, and we can put you on death row and get you on your way to the afterlife where you can go apparently do as you please. There should be no option for people in this country to not be productive members of society. And if we institute these programs, then 100% of people who want to succeed will have a pathway to success. And 100% of people who are too infirm or have too many problems, whatever, to be able to succeed on their own will be able to spend a lifetime in a lockdown facility, still earning their daily bread, still being productive members of society in whatever form or fashion they are capable of. And then the rest of them we're going to get rid of. And then there you have it. The problem is solved. This would be very, very easy to set up. I guarantee you that there would be tons of businesses that would jump at the opportunity to employ very cheap labor in controlled environments where they have a say in the training. They can be assured that these people are going to get to work on time, where everything is safe and locked down, where there's checks and balances. You would reduce drug use in America. You would reduce crime in America. You would reduce poverty in America. You would have more educated and productive citizens. The entire society could benefit by purely being a little bit more heavy-handed in recognizing that some people are not capable of truly being free. When given the option to just do as they please, they will just fail and become leeches on our society. We must force these people to become productive members of society one way or the other. This is a problem that could literally be solved in a very short time. It does not take long to build and staff these facilities. They could all be self-sufficient, and they could all cost the taxpayers possibly no money at all. I think that there's enough revenue to be earned in this procedure, in this process, that private business would be more than happy to fund it and still be able to make out like bandits and make more profit than they're already making, having to deal with high turnover rates and all of the problems that come from a system where people are not funneled into a job that they basically are not free to leave. So there you have it. This is how we can very, very easily solve the entire homelessness problem in America and make our country better on all fronts. The ramifications of this potential program would solve so many problems in a very short period of time, and at a bare minimum, it would remove the bad actors from our society so that they don't continue to taint the gene pool and waste man hours and prison hours and resources on people who just do not want to succeed or participate. So there you have it. Hopefully this video has been educational and informative as always, and we'll see you on the next one.